Doctors at hospitals affiliated with Seoul National University are on an indefinite walkout starting today amid the extended medical dispute. More doctors are set to join the collective action on Tuesday. It's a crucial week for diplomacy on the peninsula, with upcoming South Korea-China diplomatic and security talks in Seoul and the Kim-Putin summit over in Pyongyang. We take a closer look at what's at stake. South Korea is set to introduce pilot testing K-culture training visa for foreign nationals who wish to visit the country to learn K-pop or choreography and simplify entry procedures. It's June 17, 2024. This is Newscenter.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Min. Starting today, medical professors at one of Korea's major hospitals began an indefinite walkout, just a day ahead of a walkout organized by the nation's largest doctors group. As the standoff between the government and doctors worsens, patients cannot help but worry. Our Kim Bo-kyung starts our coverage.
Concerns over disruptions in the country's medical system are worsening after professors of medicine at one of the so-called Big Five major hospitals here began an indefinite walkout on Monday.
Medical professors at hospitals affiliated with Seoul National University have launched an indefinite walkout. A total of 529 professors at 4 hospitals are reportedly going to join the collective action. This is about 55% of the total.
Essential care, including emergency rooms, intensive care units, and delivery rooms, will continue to operate. But with professors from all 20 clinical departments at the hospital joining the walkout, outpatient treatments and surgeries have inevitably been affected, being reduced by around 40%. While saying the collapse of the medical system has already begun, the SNU's emergency committee demanded the government to fully scrap all administrative orders issued against trainee doctors who walked off their jobs in February. It also added it would be willing to end the walkout and engage in dialogue, but only if the government readjusts the new medical school quota for next year. Amid the prolonged medical standoff, patients have to be worried.
I have a cyst on my gallbladder, and this could develop into cancer. Later on, if the size has turned out to have increased, I would have to have surgery, but I'm worried I won't be able to get it.
I have come for dialysis, and I'm worried it could be halted.
The professors' walkout comes one day before a nationwide strike of community doctors slated for Tuesday, organized by the country's biggest doctors group, the Korean Medical Association. The collective action is expected to expand, as medical professors at 3 hospitals affiliated with Yonsei University also plan to halt most services beginning June 27. Though the doctors' pressure is getting stronger, the government is still firm on the issue. President Yoon urged officials to thoroughly prepare emergency measures to cope with the collective action, calling it an illegal rejection of their work duties. The government previously urged hospitals to request a review of their compensation claims if they suffer losses due to the prolonged crisis. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol returned from his 3-nation tour of Central Asia over the weekend as he set out his K-Silk Road initiative, Korea's first strategy to increase cooperation with the region. Our presidential office correspondent Woo Soo-young fills us in on the major outcomes.
Forming trust and tailored partnerships are key to Seoul's journey to becoming a global pivotal state. That's according to experts speaking to Arirang News, following President Yoon Suk-yeol's 3-country tour of Central Asia last week. Throughout Yoon's week-long trip, Korea landed significant deals on transport, energy and infrastructure in all 3 countries, such as working on Turkmenistan's gas processing facility, smart cities in Kazakhstan, and Korea's first export of its high-speed rail system in Uzbekistan. Another major achievement was establishing critical mineral partnerships with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, as South Korea's semiconductor and battery industries rely on a stable supply of rare minerals like nickel, lithium and tungsten. Seoul also secured stable supplies of crude oil and uranium for nuclear energy from Kazakhstan. Beyond economic security, Yoon's office says Korea's basic resource cooperation has evolved into a sustainable strategic partnership. In this regard, key deals were signed on climate action, loans and assistance for development projects, agricultural technology for food security, research and development in cutting-edge fields, along with vocational training and support for young innovators.
You can see Central Asia has a complementary industrial structure to Korea's. They have a vast population, while we are underpopulated with a growing shortage of economically active people. Thus, if Korean firms establish themselves in the region early, then they can build up a sales market and procure highly skilled human resources, especially in the sciences.
Central Asia's strategic importance has grown as a geographical bridge between Asia and Europe, particularly following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with major powers vying for access to key resources and the so-called Middle Corridor trade route. South Korea's approach stands out with its pragmatic diplomacy and soft power, given its own developmental experience.
Central Asian countries see collaboration with Korea to be more fitting to tailor to their needs than other countries. For example, powerful states, Western countries, they have their latest technology, which is universal. But Korea has, including those technologies, also conventional technologies and various technologies and know-how at various levels that can better fit these countries. And it's more in the same context that can be very relevant.
The leaders of all three countries expressed support for Yoon's K-Silk Road initiative, which aims to bolster cooperation in resources, development and culture with 5 Central Asian countries, including Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. They also joined South Korea in calling for the complete denuclearization of North Korea. Yoon plans to hold a Korea-Central Asia summit in Seoul next year. Asiana Airlines News.
It's a crucial week for diplomacy here on the peninsula. While Russian President Vladimir Putin heads to Pyongyang, senior Chinese officials will be arriving in Seoul tomorrow for diplomatic security talks. This is the first time in 9 years that such a meeting is being held amid a complicated Seoul-Beijing relationship. Our foreign affairs correspondent Pyongyang explains.
This week is set to be a busy one of diplomacy on the Korean peninsula. South Korea and China are scheduled to hold high-level talks between their foreign and defense officials on Tuesday, the same day that Russian President Vladimir Putin will likely visit Pyongyang. South Korea's foreign ministry announced Monday that the 2+2 meeting set to take place in Seoul will be led by Vice Foreign Minister Kim Hong-kyun and his Chinese counterpart Sun Wei-dong. Defense officials at the Director General level from the two countries will also be joining the meeting. The two countries agreed to hold such talks last month when President Yoon Suk-yeol sat down for a separate bilateral meeting with Chinese Premier Li Chang on the sidelines of the trilateral summit with Japan. The dialogue was first established in June 2013 and was held that year and in 2015 between Director General level officials. The meeting has not taken place since then, amid strained bilateral relations, after South Korea agreed to deploy a U.S. missile defense shield called the THAAD system. During Tuesday's meeting, the two sides will likely discuss the recent situation on the Korean peninsula, including the North's trash balloons and the South's decision to suspend the inter-Korean military agreement. South Korea is expected to once again ask China to play a constructive role in resolving North Korean issues and highlight the importance of communication between Seoul and Beijing to maintain peace in the region. All eyes are now on whether the upcoming meeting will help resume high-level communication channels between the two countries and have China keep a distance from the trilateral partnership between North Korea, China, and Russia getting stronger. Pyongyang, Arirang News.
Now, a lot of focus is on whether Moscow and Pyongyang will announce new treaties on military cooperation when Putin meets Kim Jong-un this week, and if they do, to what extent these will be. Our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jong-sil reports.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is likely to visit North Korea on Tuesday before heading to Vietnam later in the week. The last time Putin visited Pyongyang was in July 2000, when then North Korean leader Kim Jong-il and the Russian leader announced a joint declaration on friendly cooperation. However, the treaties were largely focused on economic cooperation. 24 years have now passed, and with the war in Ukraine somehow working to close the gap between the two sides, means it's likely the leaders will announce new treaties on military cooperation and make such interactions official.
The question is, will there be a clause on automatic military intervention at an alliance level? That is, if one side gets attacked, will the other party automatically intervene with military assistance?
While it is still possible, experts say it is unlikely that the concept of automatic military intervention would be included with the ongoing war in Ukraine, as it would put too much pressure on both Moscow and Pyongyang. However, lower-level treaties on military cooperation could be included that would allow closer military consultations and, if necessary, the provision of weapons to each other.
Professor Im says such a lower-level treaty would still be violating UN Security Council resolutions on Pyongyang.
As a permanent member of the UN Security Council, if Russia makes new treaties with Pyongyang on military cooperation, it would be a clear violation of the UNSC resolutions, as the core of these is to cut off the flow of funds to North Korea, to stop the North's nuclear and missile development, and to halt all cooperation that would enhance the regime's military capabilities.
He added that it's important for the South Korean government to keep a close eye on all discussions between Moscow and Pyongyang and share them transparently with the international community to prevent excessive military cooperation that violates UN Security Council resolutions. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
The government is set to introduce pilot testing K-culture training visa for foreign nationals who wish to visit the country to learn K-pop or choreography. Our correspondent Lee Soo-jin has more.
South Korea is ramping up efforts to boost tourism revenue. During an economic meeting with related ministers held on Monday, the South Korean government said that it plans to introduce new visa measures and simplify entry procedures.
We will discuss ways to further boost recovery in areas related to domestic consumption, such as tourism. We will address the inconveniences that foreigners experience during the entry process and promote cultural experiences.
This comes amid the somewhat sluggish recovery in revenue from tourism. The government mostly attributed this to tourism trends changing after the COVID-19 pandemic, with there being more independent tourism than group tourism and tourists turning to immersive cultural experiences rather than shopping. The government is moving to adapt to these changing trends by pilot testing the K-culture training visa by the end of the year for foreign visitors who wish to experience and learn about K-pop, choreography, and modeling. And it's also considering implementing a region-focused digital nomad visa for areas outside the capital area. South Korea has been test operating digital nomad visas, a workation visa, since January 1st this year, which allows foreigners who work remotely to travel in the country. This new region-focused digital nomad visa is expected to include incentives for foreigners to encourage them to also visit regional areas in the nation. The government also plans to simplify entry procedures. It will implement passport optical character recognition technology that will streamline the process of personal identification and verification, as well as increase the number of people that can apply for electronic travel authorization at once from the current 50. With these new measures, the government aims to draw 30 million inbound tourists and $30 billion in tourism revenue by 2027. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
When you think of traveling, you might picture museums, iconic landmarks, and snapping photos. But in an era where health and wellness are one of top priorities, medical tourism is on the rise, with Korea emerging as a popular destination. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin has the details.
One of the great things about traveling is that it can make you a better version of yourself. Medical tourism, where people travel abroad for medical care, does this by improving both your inner and outer well-being.
Korea has become a top destination for medical tourism over the years. Data from the Health Ministry shows that Korea welcomed a record high 606,000 foreign medical tourists last year. That's more than double the number from 2022 and the highest since data collection began in 2009. The most popular departments were dermatology, plastic surgery, and internal medicine. By region, Seoul City hosted 78% of them, with 1/3 who visited in 2023 coming to one particular district.
So the Gangnam-gu district in southern Seoul, where I am right now, is renowned as the epicenter of Korea's medical tourism. And that's because it's home to countless beauty clinics, including ones that specialize in plastic surgery, dermatology, dental care, and hair restoration.
The Korea Medical Tour Promotion Association under the Culture Ministry recently held an event inviting international content creators and social media influencers to experience K-medical tourism firsthand.
I believe the key factors behind the growth of Korea's medical tourism market are the popularity of K-dramas and K-pop, which have made people want to visit Korea. Also, the country's cosmetics and healthcare markets have expanded significantly. We, as doctors, will work with these influencers to promote Korea's excellent medical services worldwide.
High quality yet affordable services are what makes Korea's medical sector stand out.
Say the professional results and the doctors are really good, and also it's very, very cheap compared to other countries. I'm from Europe. The clinics there are highly expensive, so I think this is something that attracts people to the surgeries in Korea.
I would say like accommodation. I think there's a lot of centers that offer like multiple languages and interpreters as well.
Korea aims to host a total of 700,000 medical tourists per year by 2027. But what can be done to achieve this goal?
The global medical tourism market is expected to keep growing due to its high value. It's crucial to develop the unique advantages that only Korea can offer. The government is making continuous efforts to improve services to meet the needs of medical tourists, from their arrival to departure. We need to keep integrating medical services with tourism programs and increase support for these initiatives.
Combining medical care with travel, medical tourism offers a holistic approach to healing and well-being. 송유진, Arirang News.
The completion of Korean Air's merger with Asiana Airlines now seems imminent as Asiana has wrapped up the divestment of its cargo business. Korean Air held a meeting with the board of directors on Monday to select Air Incheon, a cargo transport specialized airline, as the preferred bidder for Asiana's cargo division. The sales agreement will be settled next month. Selling off the cargo service was one of the EU's conditions to approve the merger between the two South Korean airlines, and the other condition being that Korean Air allows low-cost carrier T-Way to start 4 new passenger flight routes. The merger process has been ongoing for more than 3 years. All that's left now is for approval from the United States. Time now to take a look at what's been happening in the world of sports. Joining us in the studio is our sports editor, Paul Need. Hello, Paul.
Hello there.
Let's first start with South Korea's modern pentathlon team has achieved its best ever result at the World Championships. What can you tell us?
Yes, on Sunday, South Korea finished top of the medal table with a total of 7 medals, 4 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze at the Union Internationale de Pentathlon Modern 2024 Pentathlon World Championships held in Zhengzhou, China. Korea won gold in the mixed relay, men's relay, women's relay and the individual events for female athletes as well. Also, for the very first time, the team won medals in all 7 categories. In the women's category, Kim Son-woo, and in the men's category, So Chang-wan each won 2 gold medals. This bodes well with the Paris Olympics just around the corner.
Moving over to football, the European Championships began over the weekend.
They did indeed, and host nation Germany got the Euros underway with a 5-1 win over Scotland on Saturday. The Germans had 20 shots on goal, while Scotland had just 1 and none on target, as the goal that they scored was an own goal. In terms of the other favourites, Spain picked up a 3-0 win over Croatia. Barcelona winger Lamine Yamal started for Spain, who at 16 became the youngest player ever to feature in a Euros. Meanwhile, Italy beat Albania 2-1, the Netherlands beat Poland 2-1, and England beat Serbia 1-0. Also, Denmark drew 1-1 with Slovenia, and Christian Eriksen scored for the Danes. 3 years ago, at the last Euros, he collapsed on the pitch after a cardiac arrest. The first round of group games will conclude today and on Tuesday, with the likes of Belgium, France and Portugal still to play their first games.
And staying with football for the moment, I understand that the Korea Football Association has drawn up a short list of potential managerial candidates.
Yes, and according to reports, there are 12 names on the list. This has been whittled down from 98 who had applied for the job. A meeting is scheduled for on Tuesday this week, where the committee head, Chung Hae-sung, will lead discussions on this matter. No names have been mentioned so far, but the KFA had wanted a new manager in place by mid-May, but talks broke down with Jesse Marsh, Senol Gunesh and Jesus Casas. This led to Kim Do-hoon being placed in caretaker charge for the World Cup qualifiers this month. The job became vacant after Jürgen Klinsmann was sacked in February. Korea are next in action in September.
And finally to baseball. San Diego Padres Kim Ha-sung broke his 3-game hitless streak with a solid performance against New York Mets.
Yes, that's right. He started as the 8th batter and shortstop, going 1 for 4 with an RBI. In the second inning, Kim reached first base but was picked off by the pitcher. He later contributed significantly in the 8th inning with a crucial RBI double, his 9th of the season, to bring the score to 6-7. But despite his efforts, the Padres could not maintain their momentum. The Mets scored 5 more runs in the bottom of the 8th, leading to an 11-6 defeat for the Padres, their 3rd loss in a row. Kim Ha-sung's season batting average did at least improve slightly to .218.
All right, thanks for that, Paul. See you next time.
Thank you.
Scorching heat continued throughout the day all over the country today. Highs in Seoul moved up to 30 degrees with real field temperatures soaring up to 33 degrees Celsius. The summer heat is expected to get stronger. Therefore, a heat wave warning was issued this morning in southeastern Gyeonggi-do, eastern Jeollanam-do, and the Gyeongsang-do provinces. Tomorrow, the daytime temperature in Seoul will soar to 33 degrees. And the temperatures will rise higher than today all over the country. In addition, both UV rays and ozone levels will soar very high. You should pay more attention to UV protections, and children and older adults should refrain from outdoor activities in the middle of the day. Tomorrow morning will start off at 18 degrees in Daejeon and Gyeongju. Daily highs will move up to 31 in Busan, Daegu and Gyeongju 34 degrees. Especially in the middle of the week, the daytime temperature in Seoul will soar up to 34 degrees, the hottest temperature this summer so far. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
And that is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.